Our next assignment in CDC301 is going to be a 4-week portrait. So again, we're building the same way as we did before. I still want you to use a box, if you're staring straight on, a box for the face. Scheme it out and then shadow map each of the light and dark features that we see on the face. So again, just a refresher, when we do an eye, it's not, we're not drawing out the eyeball, we're drawing out the dark shape that's creating or in the eye vicinity. So you do the dark shape in the eye vicinity, the dark shape in the other eye vicinity, the dark shape in the nose vicinity, the dark shape in the mouth vicinity. That will yield the anatomy without having to draw the anatomy. So since we have 4 weeks here, we expect to get a little bit further than the last drawing that we did. This is the demonstration that I had done for a 4-week drawing. You'll notice it's very similar to the last one, except given an additional hour and a half or so, I was able to advance the information a little bit more. So some of the value changes have thus become a little bit more subtle. I've introduced little bits of indications of facial hair. I've started to bring out some of the jawline a little bit, but you'll notice the eyes are still in shadow, so they're not rendered out as much as some of the previous portraits I've done. But you can start to see the eyelids in there. I'm starting to bring those forward, etc. Again, we don't have to concern ourselves too much with the background information, but I do want you, especially in this 4-week, to be considering the overall aesthetic of the drawing. I don't want it to be just a floating head. You should have a neck, perhaps some indication of the shoulders, and have a placement on a page where it starts to look a little bit more like a completed portrait instead of just a half-finished study. So notice, this is sort of half-finished, but it does have an aesthetic value to it where it could be framed and hung up and look like a reasonably nice drawing. You don't have to draw the arms all the way down and have the figure running off of the page. You can diffuse it a little bit and sort of think about the figure as an abstract shape in and of itself, and how is that abstract shape going to look on the canvas instead of just being a floating head. If you've seen some of my other drawings, especially those that I did at the palette and chisel, which are a lot of alla prima stuff, you'll notice that most of those are done on white paper, and there's a lot of splashiness in the background, and I'm utilizing the charcoal to create some abstract qualities that foil against the realism of the figure. You certainly can do that. However, I do want you to wait until toward the end of the drawing to introduce those abstract elements, because what will tend to happen as you're building up the drawing is that having an abstract element around the face will make the face look more realistic than you've actually rendered it, and thus inhibit you from pushing it to a level of realism that we might hope to achieve. So it is good when we're utilizing that element in a final piece of work. You can push the realism by foiling it against abstraction, but while you're working on it, we want to be as objective as possible. That's why we're not using sketchy lines. We're trying to be very precise and controlled about everything. Utilizing the toned paper here keeps everything nice and clean, and being nice and clean, it helps us point out any errors that we might have on there. So let's push this next drawing as far as we can, and hopefully we'll be building it up on top of a good, nice shadow map and no tan that's correct and accurately measured.